And speaking of the Murray-Darling Basin, the authorities' new boss, Craig Knowles, is continuing his listening tour. Our cameras caught up with him in Narrabri, where he addressed a recent conference on sustainable rural communities. It was a chance to further put some distance between himself and the widely condemned draft Murray-Darling water allocation plan.
I regard one of the principal tasks of my work is about re-engaging people, re-engaging communities, re-engaging that powerful wisdom that resides right throughout the basin that frankly had been left out of the room in the context of the guide that went down in a screaming heap late last year. You must have heard me now on the wireless or read about it in the papers. It's no secret that I don't have a whole lot of ownership of that guide. I thought it was, put to one side what you might have thought of the content, and I know there's a lot of argument about that, but just the plain fact that it left people out was frankly disrespectful.
Many regarded that the draft proposals and the consultation process of his predecessor, Mike Taylor, were as popular as a prolonged drought in the bush. So what's the verdict so far on Craig Knowles?
I thought it was actually very encouraging compared to what we've actually seen in the past, where it sort of almost pitted two sides against one another. I think it's encouraging that perhaps we can get two sides coming together and talking, and hopefully we probably won't get our own individual outcomes that we particularly want, but at least we can come to a compromise and hopefully come to a solution which will be for the benefit of everybody.
And it was very encouraging today to hear that Craig actually wants to talk to everybody rather than just dictating what was going to happen and having an agenda which didn't take realities of communities and farms into account. So hopefully we can move forward. We're perhaps a little bit sceptical, but it's certainly a much better and more workable than it appeared to be a few months ago.
I thought Craig Knowles' message was really clear, that he's going to look at this plan with a different set of eyes. We've got experience with Craig Knowles' involvement in the water management planning process that was conducted in this valley and others a few years ago. So we knew that his credentials were action, and he's the sort of guy that is prepared to sit down in family kitchens and discuss the issues.
Well, my first reaction probably was relief that finally common sense is prevailing, albeit at the 11th hour, or as one of my colleagues just said, at the last minute of the 11th hour. I think it's given confidence to both people in the agricultural industry, to local government bodies and to organisations like CMAs that, finally the local input is going to be heard.
It's really encouraging because it's a vast change from the previous process. I think too that his depth of political know-how about making the system work, not just by communicating with the people who'll be affected, but by working with the political system to be able to deliver it, is probably one of the more hopeful things that I've seen about this.
I thought he made some statements today that the community will be very pleased to hear. He talked about consultation, he talked about conversations, he brought up the fact that he had no confidence in the guide, and he clearly said that that was going to be put to one side. The magic thing for me was that he actually started to talk about that 3,000 to 7,000 gigalitres, and he clearly indicated today that that was able to be revised, that we weren't necessarily working in that space. So I thought that was very, very good to hear.
I thought it was a very, very positive message. I think it's very encouraging what Craig is saying about where we're now going with the basin plan, and it's really great that we are finally able to have some meaningful input into it.
Well, I'm a primary producer. I'm a cotton farmer from the Border Rivers, and I'm very encouraged with that. I must admit I'm sceptical, but I'm encouraged because I think we do need more collaboration at the front end as opposed to the back end.
Really good that he's out listening to people. He gave us examples of where he'd spoken with individuals one-on-one. That's what we want to know about. And we'd asked the Murray-Darling Basin Authority when they were here in October whether they were going to do that. Are they going to come back and discuss these issues with us directly? And they said they would, but we didn't hear from them again. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy that Craig Knowles is the man to head up the organisation. Still anxious about the outcomes because we've already given up so much, but it wasn't recognised in the previous plan. Now they say it will be, so that's good.
If he's a man of his word, then we're actually on the right track.
And if you'd like to hear the rest of Craig Knowles' speech at Narrabri, go to the Landline website and click on Landline Extra.